remember he has a check for I think $100,000 or $500,000 or something. He goes, I'll give this to I can debunk it, and whoever.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Here we are. We're day 17, October 17th of our 31 days of Halloween here on the Calvin Cam, and we have a very special treat tonight. It is a movie that it just came out this year, and it is a movie that I absolutely adore. I really, really loved watching this movie. This is Late Night with the Devil. It was such a treat, such a trip, and I'm very, very glad that I got to experience this movie. So without further ado, before we get into this episode today, please hit that like and subscribe button down below if you really like us, or, you know, if you want to help us out. Also go over to patreon.com/thecalvincam. Join one of our 3 tiers over there. We have some goodies on the way, and yeah. Now let's talk about Late Night with the Devil. This was a first time watch for both me and Anthony, and I think that we both really, really enjoyed it. And there's a lot to talk about here. There's for one, great performances all around. This cast was fantastic. David Dastmalchian, I think that he is a phenomenal actor. I love him in most everything that I've seen him in. Specifically, like for recent reference, I saw him in Suicide Squad, the second Suicide Squad movie where he plays the Polka Dot Man, and he's hilarious. And he's also going to be in the live action One Piece show, which I love anime, and that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, anyone that knows Calvin, he's definitely a huge One Piece fan.
So I'm excited to see him there, and I just think that he, as the lead role in this film, as the talk show host, Jack Dalroy, I thought that he did a really, really great job. And it's really cool because it's like, you know, it's a fictional story, but it's like there's a lot of references to like real life, like back in the like late 60s, early 70s with talk show hosts, and the competition between late night talk shows and stuff is really cool to see. And I like that it was the journey of this man who was trying to be successful with a dream and, you know, pretty much accomplishing it, but like in such odd way, especially with the way the movie ends.
But we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. So I think that this movie is pretty phenomenal, actually. Like I really enjoyed it. Me and my wife watched it, and we were very like right after it, we were like, "Damn, that was a good freaking movie." So yeah. Anthony, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts. I have a couple of things about this movie there's a couple. This movie is awesome. I just love the style of the 70s and the presentation in this movie as it starts. Like, you get the whole story of the competition with him and Johnny Carson, because obviously we all know Johnny Carson was kind of the king of the late night until Conan and Jay Leno came on the scene. Mm-hmm. It just shows, it depicts his life, and it shows how he wants to come up and be a star, like you said, with this dream. It also shows his downfall, and with his wife having cancer and becoming sick, and that how he has a falling out because he's grieving his wife, I think. But he puts on a Halloween special to try to like get people back in, watching his show, because he still wants to be part of the late night scene with Johnny Carson. So you get this whole presentation of that, and he's a part of an occult.
Yes.
And you have that. So you get all this awesome presentation and story on this character before we even get into it. And the thing that I really like about this movie is the portrayal of the 70s look, as it's a talk show. You're watching a late night episode, and this is happening, a Halloween episode. and just the look and feel of the 70s and like the way it's portrayed with the film grain, the TV commercials. I like when there's intervals with the TV commercials, you have the dialogue of the characters and what's going on with Jack Delroy itself and all the characters in this story. Just the presentation of this movie is just keeps you enthralled in like that whole talk show era of the late 70s.
Yeah, no, it completely keeps you engaged the whole time, which is what the talk shows were meant to do. So, like, me watching this movie was like watching a real life episode of a talk show, and I really do like you said, the intervals between commercials were really cool to see, just the behind the scenes. I also love the cinematography of this movie. Wow. Really, really cool. Really well done. The aspect ratio was really cool, meant to make it feel like it was the 70s, with that smaller aspect ratio. And then just also the coloring. The coloring was incredible. I love that when you're watching when the show's on air and you're watching, everything's in color. But when it cuts to commercial, everything's in black and white, and I think that that's great. And then towards the end of the movie, once things happen, it's completely modern, like modern color. It's modern color grading. It's wide, like a wide aspect ratio. Like, it's really cool, just all around beautiful presentation of film. So I really, really enjoyed that. Back to the story itself, I really love the references in the story. One of the references are to the Bohemian Grove in Northern California, for the elite. Like, it's referencing an elite Hollywood like gentleman's club that has a property out in the woods in Northern California, kind of close to where we live, actually, up here in Humboldt. And it was just cool to see that reference, because I literally was just a couple weeks ago talking to somebody who had seen the property and like from a distance, and it was just like crazy. So I was like, that's nuts. And there's just so much around this movie. And also the short bit of the beginning of this film that I thought was really cool was like all of the information that you need up to the event of where the movie starts is all presented to you within the first 10 minutes of the movie. So I think that, and the way that it does it too, it's very fast paced. It's very television. And it's like almost like an ad kind of. And I really enjoyed that, especially because it was like, I didn't have to watch this whole movie unfold to get all the information. I'm just given all the information, and I'm then watching like the fallout of what's happening. And so it's really cool to see, especially Jack, like after coming back from his absence, back onto the scene, trying to, pull out his like more or less one last stop, doing a Halloween special and trying to like take it just that one step further just to get those ratings up, and so that he can be back finally up with the competition. And it seems that in his grief and in his deterioration since his wife passed away, he gets really desperate. So and you see that in this film, that he kind of like, it doesn't matter what the people around him are going through. He becomes very self-absorbed, to the point where he's just willing to put everybody in danger. So, first he brings on what's his name, Christo, who is kind of like a medium of sorts, and he has these visions, and then or these spiritual connections, and then comes in contact with Jack's wife, and her name is Minnie. This was her nickname, a personal nickname. And then at the same time, you have also the hypnotist. What's his name? I forget his name. it'll come to me. It'll come to me. But you have the counter character to all the paranormal stuff happening with him trying to just debunk anything that's happening.
Yeah, and he says remember he has a check for I think $100,000 or $500,000 or something. He goes, "I'll give this to I can debunk it, and whoever I'll give this money."
Yeah, exactly. So you have that whole like back and forth with them, but Christo, he eventually can't control what's happening to him because there's some serious presences in the set, and he then projectile vomits black goo, which is if you look into paranormal research, could be considered like ectoplasm, which is like that of paranormal. And then he later dies in the ambulance, and they kind of like keep that on the hush hush. But like most things on most jobs, things get out. Little people know, and word gets around. Eventually, some of the crew walks off, they say later in the film. And it's just like Jack's just like, no, we got to keep going. We got to just keep going. And even his new partner, June, who's kind of like in a secret relationship with him, she also is like, we can't do this. Like, we got to shut this down. This is not a good idea. But then he just still is so self-absorbed with that goal of his dream that he just like keeps pushing and keeps pushing. He's like, when he had the perfect chance to wrap it up, he did not. He was just like, we got to see this. We got to see it.
Yeah, he wants to see it through, and then he brings on June, and then June is I forgot, is she just a psychiatrist or she's
so she's like a paranormal psychiatrist. Okay. She's like someone who heavily believes in the satanic cults and stuff and paranormal research. And so she is not only like providing psychiatric help for Lily, but she is also like doing full research on the paranormal events that surrounded her and her being alive, basically, because she's from the what was the cult? It was like
the owl cult?
No, not the owl cult. The satanic cult. The one.
Oh yeah, we have a commercial break or a little interlude where we have that gentleman talking about the cult, right?
I forget what it is though. It's like the Ambrax or something along the lines of that. But it's like references abracadabra, like remember? I just forget what the cult's name is. Forgive me. But yeah, we have the references to that, and then basically they do the live demonstration, and it is actually pretty terrifying.
It is pretty terrifying, and if you want to just correlate it to recent events, we did The Exorcist last year for our 31 days, and this kind of had the Exorcist feel to it.
Yeah.
Lily kind of doesn't look like Regan, but like the way her mannerisms are as she's possessed kind of feels like Regan, like Linda Blair's character from The Exorcist. So I kind of like how they tied that into like this whole era of 70s and The Exorcist and all that stuff.
Yeah. The hypnotist's name is Carmichael Haig. And he then still doesn't believe anything, and then hypnotizes the entire audience, including myself, because I was like so kind of like thrown back when it wasn't real that Gus, the show's assistant, his like stomach wasn't ripped open with worms and falling out, and the worm that came out of his eye. I was like, what is happening? This movie's turning really crazy, and then. Actually, that was all in the figment of everyone's imagination. And I was like, wow, that really actually got me. Like, I wasn't hypnotized, obviously, but like, it got me.
It kind of throws you off.
Yeah,
and then...
I was like, holy shit. Like, but it was cool to see. But still, Carmichael still in great disbelief was just like, I'm not accepting basically what's happening. And then by the end of the movie, you just have Lily go full on demon mode.
Yeah, and I thought the effects were so like 70s, like the way it was presented. Like Carmichael, his head kind of melted with like that old like practicality. Kind of reminded me of Indiana Jones when they open the ark and everybody just melts.
Yeah.
If you remember that, kind of reminded me of that.
Excuse me. There's that. I mean, everyone died. Like June, her character, she got fucking her neck sliced with her own necklace. Gus just completely had moved around. The only one who didn't die was Jack. And that's because he ends up killing Lily, but in such a way that you like don't even actually know what's happening because he goes into a mental state where he is talking to his wife about his actions with the cult, and like even with her, and she's just like, I know that you've done gross things, basically. And then he apologizes, he says he loves her, etc., and then he ends up stabbing her to let her go. But at the same time, when he comes back to reality, he's stabbing Lily. And it's the perfect reference because it references what Lily said earlier before the show even began. Before her part of the show even began was, "You'll be famous really soon." Like, and he's famous because he kills her
On live television.
On live television. So it's like, oh shit, like this is wild. Very crazy event happens. But yeah, that's pretty much the base of this movie. I loved it.
Yeah,
Through and through.
I thought it was fabulous. I also thought different things, like with the plot twist. Like I thought maybe this came to mind. Like I thought he made like a pact with his cult with the devil, so it kind of like shifted that way. Like I don't know, it was just weird. It felt weird, like that whole tone of it shifting when it was just him just having a hallucination or a dream.
I think he was just going through it. I think that the forces beyond were messing around with him, and I think that eventually it just got to that point. And I'm sure that it had to do with the cult, and I would like to watch it, a couple more times to actually like dissect it to the fullest. So but initial first and only watch, like I love this movie. I'm giving this movie a 5 out of 5. Like, I loved this movie. I want to watch it again. I know that a lot of people really loved this movie. A lot of people talked about it a lot and gave it pretty high ratings that I know. But I also know a lot of people who are mad at this movie because I heard something about the production of this film being in correlation with some use of AI. And that's a pretty big frown upon in Hollywood right now, especially because we want to support, actual like good production and all real stuff. But I don't know what to the extent. I would like to do my own research on that too. But as I'm a fan of David, I'm a fan of this movie. I loved it. I thought it was 5 out of 5. So
yeah, I didn't know any of that information until you brought that to light. I definitely loved this movie. I thought the presentation of this movie just as a sitcom, not sitcom, but a late night show. How it was presented, the story, what it is, the acting was really good. Yeah, this is literally a 5 too for me.
Okay, well, that's gonna be it for Late Night with the Devil review. Time to do some fun facts. Close out the episode. Let's see what we got because this is a newer movie and I'm curious. So. Fun fact, here we go. The Carmichael character is very clearly based, including physically, on the real-life James Randi. Randi was a talented magician who became a famous psychic debunker, and he started an institute that offered a large reward to anyone that could reproduce their supposed paranormal powers in controlled conditions. Over decades, nobody was able to win the money.
That's really cool. That's very cool.
Again, like just a lot more real life references. So in a 2024 interview with the Movable Fest, Colin Cairns explained the reason the film is set in 1977. The film had to happen on a Monday night for sweeps week, so the stakes are high, and this is the beginning of the week that's gonna make it or break it for Jack Delroy's career, right? And it just so happened that 1977 was the only year in the 70s where Halloween fell on a Monday night. So we thought 77, that's pretty much you're right in the thick of it. So that works for us.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Just consistency, man.
Okay, traditional folklore states that if a person makes a contract with the devil for earthly goods, the devil comes to claim his payment in 7 years. The documentary footage at the start of the film shows Delroy at the Grove in 1969. His wife dies in 1976, 7 years later.
So like I kind of was
Yeah.
like he made a pact with the devil, like in
Yep.
a way, right?
Yep. So her passing has to do with the agreement. Damn. Cool.
That's why I thought, the whole time.
Yeah. Actor David Desmalchian was cast in the lead role of the film's central character, Jack Delroy, after the film's directors read an article by him about regional horror TV hosts, which he had written for Fangoria magazine. Co-director Colin Cairns said in an interview with the film's two directors published in this magazine, well, I mean, other than just recognizing his awesome work and all of the films he's been in, but then I opened up Fango and one day and read an article by David on regional horror hosts. And reading that and knowing his work, I just thought this is going to be really good fit. Obviously, our hero Jack is a TV host, so it felt like there would be some affinity there.
Very cool. Perfect casting then.
Yeah.
I like that the reference to him. I didn't even know that he did stuff for Fangoria magazine. That's cool.
The name of the mysterious men-only club situated in the California Redwoods was The Grove. It was inspired by a real-life bohemian grove located at 26 let's see 20601 Bohemian Ave in Monte Rio, California. The Bohemian Grove memberships boast several politicians, including 3 presidents of the United States, industrialists, and other noted figures. One of the Real Grove founders was Ambrose Bierce, author of several horror stories of the cynical Devil's Dictionary. The Grove's rituals, which have been described as falling between occult and kitsch, include frequent images of owls. It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
It's fucking wild. It's cool. The horror movie's filmmakers, the Cairns brothers, have said of this picture in an official statement, in the 70s and 80s, there was something slightly dangerous about late night TV. Talk shows in particular were a window into some strange adult world. We thought combining that charged live-to-air atmosphere with the supernatural could make for a uniquely frightening film experience. And it was good. It was perfect. It was really good. Famed horror novelist Stephen King has praised the movie. He said, I got a screener. It's absolutely brilliant. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. Your results may vary, as they say, but I urge you to watch it when you can. Nice. Okay, and we'll do one more. You ready for this?
Yep.
The movie made 666 on Sunday, March 24th, 2024 at the box office. According to the distributor, in all likelihood, it wasn't a coincidence, as box office figures can be manipulated by around 5% by the distributor to compensate for receipts not tracked by RentTrack. So that's kind of cool.
It's interesting.
666 666. Nice. 666 pickup sticks. All right. That's going to be it for our fun facts on this movie. I encourage you all to watch this film. I think that it is fantastic. So we'll catch you on tomorrow's episode.
We'll see you on the flip side for the next episode.